Do you control your own destiny? Do you have free will? Is every choice you make truly up to you? Does the past determine the future? What if everything's already been decided for you before you even had a chance to think about it? So many questions here, so many questions. In this video, we'll try to answer them all, and you can decide whether you agree or disagree with what you hear. But before we get started, be sure to hit that subscribe button. And now let's begin. A woman is standing at a crossroad, two roads in front of her, and she's thinking hard about which one to take. She has to make a decision, but no matter how much she thinks about it, she feels like she can't choose. It doesn't seem to be up to her. Someone else seems to be controlling her. And if she tries to do something else, she will only suffer the consequences. She walks down the road and turns around a corner. It's dark and gloomy, and she walks through a tunnel. There is a light at the end of the tunnel, and she walks towards it. The light gets brighter and brighter, and suddenly she finds herself outside again, still walking. She comes across another fork in the road, this time 3 different paths. She keeps walking and comes across another intersection. It's time for roads branch out in front of her. The roads keep branching out into more and more possibilities, until finally there are so many that she can't even count them anymore. She keeps walking forward without making a decision. She seems to be lost and confused, not knowing what to do next. She walks into a room full of doors. Each door represents a different choice she could make. She opens one door and sees a man waiting behind it. He smiles at her and beckons her to come closer. But as she takes a step towards him, another man appears in the doorway and blocks her path. He shakes his head and tells her no, it's not her way. She turns back and opens another door, but the same thing happens. No matter which door she opens, there is always someone there to stop her from going through. She turns around and runs out of the room, desperately searching for an escape. But no matter where she goes, she keeps coming up against walls. She bangs her fists against the wall and screams in frustration. She is trapped and has no way out. On the screen, the words "We are condemned to be free," the voice of Jean-Paul Sartre, one of the leading existentialists, booms. We are condemned to be free because once thrown into the world, we are responsible for every move we make, every decision we take. Our actions are our own responsibility. The person banging their head against the wall stops and turns around. They look at their hands as if seeing them for the first time. Their eyes widen in realization, and they begin to calm down. Then they turn around and walk away slowly, trying to figure out what to do next. As they walk, they notice a set of rusty chains hanging from a hook in the wall. They reach out and touch them, feeling the cold metal beneath their fingers. Suddenly, they remember a time when they were younger and more carefree. They were playing outside with their friends, and they had climbed up a tree. One of them had gotten stuck, and the others had laughed and jeered. But then one of them had reached out and helped pull the person out of the tree. The person who had been stuck had felt grateful and had promised to never forget it. But over time, the memory had faded, and the person had begun to feel bitter and resentful towards their friend. They had started to think that their friend had only helped them because they wanted to make fun of them. But now as the person looked at the chains, they remembered that it wasn't their friend who had wanted to hurt them. It was themselves. They had been the one who had lashed out and had tried to hurt the person who had helped them. The person reaches out and touches a nearby clock. Its pendulum swings back and forth, marking the passing of time. The person thinks about the past and wonders if everything that has happened was predetermined. Was their anger towards their friend also predetermined? Are they fated to repeat their mistakes over and over again? David Hume said that our sense of free will is an illusion, and that we are entirely determined by our past experiences and environment. Our decisions are simply the result of external forces beyond our control. As the person stands there thinking about their life, they realize that they can't know for sure whether or not they have free will. Maybe everything is predetermined. Maybe their every action is a mere effect of causes beyond their control. Suddenly, the ground begins to shake, and the walls around them start to close in. The person panics and tries to run away, but it's too late. The walls are closing in, and the ceiling is crashing down on top of them. The person screams as the darkness envelops them. On the screen, the words "our decisions are simply the result of external forces beyond our control," written by David Hume. As the video approaches its climax, the music swells. It's a mix of orchestral strings and deep brass instruments. The tone is dramatic and suspenseful, building towards the big reveal. The cinematography quickens the pace, cutting between shots of the collapsing environment and the protagonist's desperate attempts to escape. The lighting is low and shadowy, emphasizing the sense of dread and impending doom. Sound effects are used to great effect, from the creaking of the walls to the protagonist's gasps of terror. All of this builds a sense of urgency and heightens the emotional impact of the scene. At the peak of the action, the video cuts to the person at the crossroads. They make a choice and start walking down one of the paths, but suddenly the scene glitches. The path they chose disappears, and they find themselves at the same spot as before, still standing in the middle of the crossroads. They try to choose another path, but the same thing happens. All the paths lead to the same place. The person is trapped and can't escape. They are standing in the middle of the crossroads again. The paths stretch out in front of them, but now they don't seem to lead anywhere. The person reaches out and touches one of the paths, but it feels cold and lifeless. The person looks down at their hands and realizes that they are just a puppet, dancing to the tune of fate. The person collapses to their knees and cries out in despair. They feel like they are nothing more than a pawn in a bigger game, tossed around by unseen forces beyond their control. As the video fades to black, the words, "Do you believe in free will? Or is it just an illusion?" appear on the screen. The sound of the person crying fades out. As the video ends, the viewer is left with a sense of unease and uncertainty. The video's message is clear. We may think we have free will, but ultimately we are not in control of our destiny. Every choice we make is predetermined, and the illusion of free will is all that keeps us from seeing the truth. Now let us know in the comments below what you think about this topic. Do you believe in free will, or is it just an illusion? Thanks for watching. See you next time.